for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first we have, we still have open a public hearing for the proposed zoning amendments. And just so everyone is aware, we have a work session next week on Monday, the 3rd, to discuss the zoning amendments and continue the discussion from our last work session. So I guess I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing, or it's already open, but
It's already open.
yeah, anyone that wants to say something here in the room? Anybody back there? How about on Zoom, Janet?
No.
No? Okay. All right, and we'll the public hearing will remain open until after we do the work session and
Do we have to move to continue it?
motion to keep it open. So I'd like to go, can I have a motion to keep it open?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion.
Till when? Yeah, we needed.
Okay, at least March 10th, yes, correct, yes. All in favor? Aye. Okay, next we have public comment. Anybody here would like to say anything? How about on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Okay. Communications, I don't have anything for communications, so move right on to the consent agenda. So I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes of February 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay, old business. We have building department fees. So at a prior meeting, I think it was the last town board meeting, we reviewed the building department fees or the suggested changes to the building department fees. I'm okay with moving forward with these changes. The only thing that I would recommend is to give folks a chance, folks that have open permits, and want to have the ability to renew. I'd like to go back to a period of time. So anyone that's got an open permit.
You want to make it retroactive? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So the renewal will be retroactive to, and we'll agree to a date. I'm thinking maybe 10 years. So
Not,
2000.
the permit, when you get one, has a certain time frame, right? So
Yeah,
X number of years or what have you.
I think what Tony's
So-
trying to do is solve two problems. One, solve a problem moving forward, extending our permit timeframe from whatever 1 year to 3 years or whatever we were discussing, but also because it's coming to light by a number of homeowners that thought that they had C of Os that didn't, and the permits are still open but expired. If we go backwards a certain amount of time, it gives them the opportunity to come in without the additional expense, right, Kevin? Kevin, our building
So-
inspectors in the audience, without additional and you know, and perhaps have it remain open so that they can get their C of O without any exorbitant fees or penalties.
No, I get the consent.
We go the same-
I get the concept.
same ground
I
rules.
just get the concept. I just want to know what specifically, how do you want to enact?
Sorry.
I think what Tony just said is, we could roll back the clock that anybody had a permit within the last 10 years that has expired. They can come in under this
right. With it,
structure and they won't exceed $1,000 on the residential or 5,000 on the commercial.
That's something I'm just looking for specific.
So we're hitting,
Yeah.
what Andrea just said, we're hitting two things.
I'm just extending the new renewal fee to go back in time. So people that want to renew whose permits expired, they can do so at the new renewal fee.
I should just, you gotta put that in specifics. It should be fine.
Okay,
If it's
So you don't
something,
have like specifics. It's not really.
Well,
that's the
we're
specific,
looking
right?
for. It's
So I'm saying-
consensus.
I'm recommending 15 years. I'm sorry, 10
10
years
Okay,
to 2015.
okay, so just, so.
That's my recommendation. Is the board in
yeah,
agreement?
can I
Or do you
just
have it?
ask, maybe there's a trivial case in this, like most of those that we're thinking about are ones where basically everything was done and they didn't close this, get the COO. Is it possible there's also like ones that they did some of the work, but it's really not done and there's actually still intermediate
It
steps.
could very well.
So they would
be.
pay the
It's just-
renewal fee.
They'll just pay
They,
the renewal
they get an
fee
extra year
to
to finish the work.
exactly. And
So
if they don't finish in that year, they can renew it
They can do
again
it again.
Okay,
Yes.
so then any open permits going back to 2015
to
right.
today.
to
till
till today.
today, what's the, just wanna make the motions specific.
That should cover just about everybody, I think, has been concerned. You
So
know,
we just need the rest of it to
Well-
phrase it.
Yeah, so I'll make the motion. Right now, we're just having, I'm suggesting 10 years. Is the board in
I
agreement?
want to say 15 apparently.
I want to say, I
Keep
keep saying,
because-
I should say go back to 2015, but 10 years, yeah.
So just to be clear, and maybe it needs to be separated out. Retroactively, anyone that needs to renew a permit because their permit expired in the past 10 years that thought they had a CRO or whatever the case may be, it's $1,000, but it's only renewed for a year.
Correct,
Those moving forward, however, we're looking to extend the permit time to 3.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
So maybe we want to do that
It's 2 votes.
Yeah,
separately,
we could,
so it's not
yeah.
confusing.
So the first motion would be to adopt the new fees.
No, I think the
And then
first motion would be to do the retroactive
Well,
and then
Yes.
Fine,
do the
okay.
new, just for clarity's sake.
I'm just trying to find where you are on the schedule with that. I see that the permit's gonna be 3 years for the residential fee, but in terms of the retroactive impact.
remember we were talking about a,
Yeah, that's-
yeah.
Where it is here. It's
it's not on here.
Okay.
No, it is.
It's-
It's on the first page here. It's expired building permit renewal fees.
No, but he's talking about how far back in time do we go?
The timeframe.
We did not
Timeframe.
talk about a start date last. time.
Right.
Or
We had
Cutoff date.
we had talked about an amnesty period. So this in essence would be the new amnesty period, right? If your permit's expired,
Move to amend the fee schedule in accordance with this particular set of parameters attachment. With the understanding that the amnesty period would go back.
right?
You want to give a shot at phrasing it?
Sure.
But let me just ask Kevin a question. So anyone that has an open permit that's older than 10 years,
Mhm.
what would happen to them?
Based on what I would understand, it would be based on your old schedule.
But the old schedule is no longer in place, right? So we have the new schedule. So would they? That's a,
Just as on that point, so an open permit means, just the way of this set definition, open permit is one, does every permit have to be closed by the issuance, not necessarily of a C of O, does it? Are there permits you can close without a C of O?
For all intents and purposes, you need to CO. Okay, all right. What you.
or certificate of compliance.
Because certificate of compliance, they're essentially the same.
There has to be a
thing.
final
Okay.
inspection.
Okay,
So-
so that's the first.
And
okay,
I will
so-
tell you,
So
that
an
we
open
have
permit, that's,
hundreds.
no, that's okay,
out
so
there, yeah.
just so we're clear what it is, so an open permit is a permit that's been taken out. And the applicant has not received either a certificate of compliance or certificate of occupancy,
Correct.
period, okay, got it, that's perfect, okay, that's an open permit, okay.
So, but we were saying, well, how far back do you go? I think we need a start date or an end date.
the cutoff date.
Tony's subjecting, say, 10 years. So at least we have from there on.
Okay, so anyone with an open permit, as we just defined, going back to.
January
2015,
1st.
January 1, 2015,
Mhm.
then what? They get to just
They
fill in
can-
the rest of it,
They renew
You can
per the
re-
new fee.
Per the new fee schedule.
okay, they can renew the permit,
Yep, and that pit permit will be good for another year, okay, because it's a renewal, all right? And it will not exceed $1,000 for residential, 5,000 for commercial.
okay, so what's the window with someone who has an open permit to renew? They get a year upon renewing it. right?
Yep.
How long
That
the window
permit-
that they have to renew it if they discover, oh, I have an open permit?
Well, if it's in
So
the
if
last
it's-
10 years,
Right.
they can do it now and then they get another year.
Correct. You can come in a month from now, 2 months from now. And if it was from, say, January 1st of 2015, if you were in that window, you can go and renew.
Now, if it's 5 years from now, will that still apply?
Right,
Well,
that's what I'm getting.
This
Yes.
board will make a determination if that's the case. If you change your fee structure in 5 years, No.
I mean, if we're
But if it
making
stays
it,
the same,
if
yes,
we're making it 2015, doesn't matter when they come to
Right.
us, it could be 2030,
like the earth began in 2015.
Okay,
right?
Simple.
can
I
I,
question what happens to folks that had an open permit from 1950,
Back in that time,
or when we
you
first started.
had no expiration of permits.
Okay,
So we're probably in that cuspice that we've hit just about everybody.
Okay, so in other words,
that's right, because expirations of permits are fairly recent.
Yeah,
a
So
good
this
point,
would
yeah.
be an inclusive move that we're making.
trying.
Correct,
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do,
And
yeah.
meet the needs of all of our neighbors.
100% correct.
before we wrap, can I ask you to clarify the demolition fee? $2,500, or how's that work?
That's like for a house. If you look below that, you have secondary.
It's breaking to the next
Okay.
page.
You're all the way down to like, I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
$600, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, good.
But, are we still in the question?
No, I'm good with the question I had, but no,
We could look at the question. we had.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so the other question was from January 1st, 2015 to when, and like, if we should have a cutoff for 10 years, it's 10 years, so.
no, that, what we
Well,
just explained was that there would
because-
be no cutoff.
Well,
So-
so then that means moving forward, anybody from January 1st, 2015 who has an open permit, even 20 years from now, would only have to pay $1,000, is that right?
Unless your board changes your fee structure in the future.
Right.
Yeah,
And that, because from whatever day it is that we adopt the new fee schedule, all the permits will now be 3 years and not 1. So we're changing that, so perhaps we should consider a window instead of an open-ended from January 1st, 2025 to today, or, we're adopting it today. I mean, it's an arbitrary date, but
So giving them a year, basically, to 12/31/25, meant, right?
I was
Is that-
thinking of the 10-year
No.
window.
Oh, the
January
10-year, I see, okay, yeah,
12/31/24.
yeah,
January
It doesn't-
1st.
yeah,
Just suggesting.
and then anybody in that timeframe will be captured, and then moving forward, we've changed it so that permits are open for 3 years.
correct, yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
That's
This
my
way it's-
point. Now,
yeah.
now they get anyone taking out a new permit gets 3 years.
Mhm.
So what, if we don't put an end to it, then anybody who gets a permit, even with the 3 years, will have the opportunity, if they don't get a C of O,
To renew.
to renew for $1,000. It
When-
For an
changes,
additional year.
right?
all permits would have been issued previously during the time there was a time limitation, all the same. There's no difference.
there was.
There was no limitation. I don't know when it
Yeah,
was.
it was basically, it was a year and with the option from the building department whether they would extend for another 6 months. But then when you renewed, you're at 125% of what the application originally was, which was the highest probably in the region. And we're trying to eliminate that.
But there's no permits, every permit that's been issued during the time when there was time limitations on permits for each for a year to start.
Correct.
Okay, that's.
So that went from a year to 3 years.
Okay. So I guess I'll make a motion that we adopt the new building department fees. And the renewal period will apply for any permit that was opened from January 1st of 2015 to December 31st of 2024.
Does that make
Do I have a
sense? to
second?
everybody?
Discussion?
Se-
Second?
Second,
I thought we were gonna say it doesn't end at 2024. You kind of,
Well, that was my
That-
question.
yeah.
That was my
it's just-
question. Shouldn't there be an end date? Because now, as of today, supposedly we're gonna be changing it now. So before, everyone's permits were a year.
Right.
And those people in that 10-year time frame, they only had a year to finish the work, and now we're changing it so that anybody who takes out a permit from today forward gets 3 years.
3 years.
So if we don't have an end date, then 5 years from now, anybody who's taken out a permit that has the benefit of the 3 years, which they should technically, or for argument's sake, be finished in 3 years, will then have the additional benefit of just renewing for another $1,000.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I
It's
think
just
your
the way
point is if
Lewisboro-
anybody misses that. You know, if they come to us. After this is enacted
Mhm.
this year,
Well, if they come to us in 2029 with a permit that they opened this year. Like,
Right.
I think
They're
the way we were discussing, they would
they would renew.
renew
Yeah,
until such time
$1,000.
as we change
Yeah.
this, but you kind of capped it, you said until 2024. I think we just want to say that this applies to any permits.
Right, I understand what you're saying, because we're changing the renewal fee as well, right? So just in general, we're changing the renewal fee.
But the goal is to capture anybody that had open
That's
permits
previous?
before
Okay.
2015.
All right, well, then.
Either way,
then-
you know what, it
No,
doesn't.
I understand what Dan is saying, because before, the fees were more excessive
Mhm.
to renew when you had an expired permit from 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was more expensive to renew, so I understand Dan's point. So we're trying to change that altogether. And since now the new rule is going to apply, it should, we're giving those people sort of amnesty-ish. They're gonna pay reduced fees.
You know,
in order to
having
fix
said
it.
what I said, I'm actually thinking maybe it's okay the way Tony said it, and we let it apply to this, you know, kind of renewal amnesty apply through today. And we'll see what happens in 3 years, because any new permits from today are gonna have 3 years, right?
Correct, and they have
And
the
maybe
right to
this whole
renew.
system will
After.
clean up your database essentially, and it won't be such a big deal. So actually, I'm having second thoughts, and I think, you know, just go with that. And
In all.
Okay.
all
Third,
permit
but I can
renewals-
watch count,
All
yeah.
permit renewals happen 3 year. Period. Is a ministerial function. There's no discretion. It's just what it-
Nope, straightforward. And then if you hit 3 years, you can renew for an additional year, not to exceed $1,000 or $5,000.
I got it.
Okay, so,
And they can keep doing
we
it.
were in discussion,
Frankly,
so I
yeah.
think we can just go ahead and vote.
I think we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had a second,
Yes.
all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Do-
Okay,
roll
good.
call?
Is it, no.
that was just the,
Fee schedule.
Fee schedule.
was it the entire fee schedule, or were we just? voting
entire.
for Going backward 10 years? That's-
No, the entire fee schedule and, yeah, going back 10 years.
With the,
Yeah,
With-
the-
I
with
had-
the caveat, okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, next, let's set down. Set down, thank you,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Oh, got this, but here's another. I'll set down. Okay, so now let's talk about the pool bathhouse. All right, so. So we went out to bid, the first go around, then we decided, to. To bid again for the timber frame or the timber frame component. And we got those bids back, so it is a lower number, there was a.
Just a step back, we decided to rebid because why? The timber frame, to see if we get.
Because the timber frame, we did a redesign, and I guess I could ask Darren to maybe highlight, if you don't mind coming up to the
Oh, sure,
podium.
sure.
Was it part
Darren
of it?
Mercer's our
Wasn't
architect.
part of it that it wasn't gonna be able to get finished in the timeframe that we originally
Hi,
proposed?
Could you introduce yourselves to our friends at home, please?
yes, I'm Darren Mercer. I'm the architect for the bathhouse project. So what we did is, we gave the bidders an opportunity to bid on either the general contractor portion of it, the timber portion of it, or both of them. And so when we had the previous bids done on the second go around for the timber, the two low bidders, had some deficiencies in their bid document. So the third bidder was a bidder bidding on both the general construction and also on the timber frame. So that number was much higher than the other two bidders that were in a lower position.
Because they have both components.
Yeah, because they had both. So we went out to bid again, and it was just for the timber frame, not to give you both the options. So in the previous bid, we were able to get a low bid from the general contractor, which seemed to work. And now that we've gotten 2 bids back now for the timber frame at this go around, there's 2 bids. One is listed at 429, I believe, or 424.
428,
428. The other one was about $100,000 more than that. So it was quite a big difference.
And we fixed the issue as far as the first go around.
Yeah.
They both comply with the municipal bid requirements for that component of the job. Correct?
Yeah, the bids are conforming. You can do what you will. Think about it, where you want.
Right, so what we have now is we have the timber frame at 428,127. I left out the 127 in my
And
spreadsheet.
what about the GC part of it?
And the GC part is the 750,000. So it's a total project cost of 1,178,000
1 million.
plus the soft costs, which are listed above in my worksheet.
You said 1,000.
Oh, did I say, yeah, 1,178,000, sorry. Plus the soft costs of 94,400. And that brings a total project cost to $1,272,400.
Darren, do you have any input as far as architecturally the 2 timber frame bids we have, as far as one versus the other?
The one that's the low bidder, I've worked with that company before at the Westmore Environmental Education Center. And so they're exceptionally good company and they do very good work. So I'm glad that they're the low bidder in this project because I've worked with them before. The other one is from Rhode Island. I don't know anything about them. But their bid was over $100,000 more.
So architecturally, from your perspective, we're not losing anything by going with the lower bid.
No, because
Timber
we've already-
frame bid, and
yeah,
actually to the contrary, you know that.
I know their work and I know how they operate. I've actually been to their facility in Pennsylvania and see how they put it all together. So very confident.
So your recommendation would go with the Mid-Atlantic for the.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, we have to also because they're the low bidder.
Well, architecturally, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I have no reservations to work with them. Very, very good experience.
So you could say from a holistic perspective.
Yes.
It's a win-win.
Right, so we're not gonna make a decision tonight, but I just wanted the board to take this information, give it some thought, but we do have a $600,000 bond that was part of our bond issue last year. And we have another $672,400, which we'll need to borrow or take from fund balance.
So can we
That's a
get
decision.
Sarah to
Annie,
Sarah?
Yeah.
Sorry. To give us an update on the fund balance.
Yeah,
free available fund balance and trends there too.
yeah, she's gonna take a closer look at that, but we're roughly at 8 million right now, but she's gonna also, we've had some discussions about whether you should borrow or use the fund balance, because it is a capital improvement project. And sometimes, so we need some guidance on that as to whether.
And also,
Just best
how
to-
much else, I would also like to know how much we need to keep in our fund balance
Mhm.
to be fiscally
Right.
sound as a municipality. I don't want us to.
Yeah, the 8 million is, that's
Right.
money that we can use,
Okay,
but yes, but she's gonna take a closer look and she's gonna do a little more research in terms of borrowing versus.
It's really,
Be coming up on our quarterly report from her too, to give us an update on how we're doing since we
Mhm.
tried something a little different with the budget in,
Right.
for this year to see how that's.
So project timetable wise with the anticipated, completion opening in Memorial Day of 2026.
Correct.
When do we have to make a decision on this to make sure we're?
We have a little time because construction doesn't start September this year. So, but it would be good to get that rolling just because if we do go ahead with the timber frame company, they'll need some lead time to get shop drawings and engineering drawings completed that have to be filed for permit, slide drawings.
So if we get our numbers squared away, like say in 45 days, which would incorporate first quarter, and we made a decision, say our first meeting in April, is that okay timetable wise? It will give us the opportunity to hear from our controller about how we're doing through the first quarter.
well, maybe.
I think so. When's for
Yeah,
getting
so maybe
back
first
to
quarter.
the bidders, to the contract?
I don't think we have any
90
days, so
days.
I think we would just put together a notice of who won the bids, what the amounts were.
Right.
And, or if we decide not to do it, we do the same thing, so.
If we go ahead and do that, will they be able to go ahead and get the supplies at
Yeah, well, the first thing they have to do, at least the timber frame company has to, order the material from the Pacific Northwest. But there's also, documentation for shop drawings that are also engineer drawings that are sealed.
I think your point is well taken, and I would say if we can close this as soon as possible, because there's so much uncertainty out there.
as
that-
far as supplies?
That we can do it the same night
Yeah.
that we get our financial report, and it sounds, from what you're saying, I mean, $8 million, we're well within the state guidelines and have some room there. But and the other factor would be like what are bond rates these days?
Yeah, so we were gonna reach out to our bond company, capital market advisors, and get an idea what the
Yeah,
rates are and what
and-
the debt service would be.
So if we could we make that decision that night, we can go ahead and
I would like to not,
take the risk
Linger
on
over it.
material escalation. They probably have a
Right.
clause in the offer that says like we can bail out if things go bonkers, so.
So maybe we just put it for April 14th as an agenda item.
I would rather do it before the 14th because I won't be able to vote on that.
So what's the second meeting in
March
March?
24th.
24th.
There are also some other potential cost savings for the project that we could consider along the way too. One is to substitute the metal roof with an asphalt roof, which can save quite a bit of money. Also for the siding, using the same material that I had specified for all the siding we'd be using on the inside, which is like a PVC based rice hull product. On the outside, we might want to consider going with a combination of that to save some money on the siding. And I have some options I want to discuss with Nicole when the time is right. We could probably find some additional savings.
And we can make those changes after the
I
award.
could do it before or after, I think. I mean, we could just make them as an ad alternate in the contract.
Is that, does you see an issue with that, Greg?
What you would do is when you get
Change
the
order.
notice to proceed, okay, you can do it as a change order if we're changing the scope of construction, because the specs
Right.
reserve the right to do that.
And then
Then it'll be a credit.
Get a hard number on that, and then we could decide whether or not we want to execute it or not, but it's a significant amount of money, so.
So like with the roof, for example, the asphalt versus the steel
That'll
roof.
yeah.
It's
That's like 100,000.
steel,
About around
still lasts forever.
$100,000 roughly, and then the side would be another $30,000.
But in terms of maintenance and having to replace the
Yeah,
steel
like
roof, it lasts
the-
forever.
It's a 30-year roof.
The asphalt.
A metal roof is gonna be more like 80 years. But with the changes in technology, you might want to consider something in 30 years that maybe has, a solar panel part of it changes, which would make it better.
Mhm.
For now, it's a perfectly fine roof. I would have loved to do a metal roof, but
Right,
I'd like to also help the town, cut down
but
costs.
what's in the spec now is a metal roof.
It's a metal roof,
Right, yeah, okay,
so that would be a deduct from CC.
yeah.
So.
Okay.
Just, I think, because we hear from Andy, so that's all fine, but I'm just thinking, because we have a lot of, in light of the. Hearing from, our control about what we have and how we're doing, because we have. A lot of,
We have
a lot of things
other
out
projects,
there,
yeah.
and.
Yep.
I'd like to have an idea from macro planning standpoint, we have a lot of balls in the air here. And if we're, this is gonna be, we're talking about 600,000 here. We have, several other things which we're contemplating now, so it would be nice to take a look globally as far as expenditures and what we're contemplating. In light of what we have available.
Right.
So, as opposed to just going one by one, then we're depleting. When we might need, I'd just like to look at it, maybe. There's a way to look at it, just globally, what you're looking at as far as priorities, from. Our infrastructure component and things that are, more needs as opposed to wants.
Right.
Take a look at that in light of what we have available.
To gently remind you, the bathhouse that we currently have is in disrepair. So this is an investment in the
coming.
future.
I know, I just want to tie it into everything else. I'm not saying, obviously, I'm obviously supportive of this.
I know.
Yeah, so.
I mean, this goes back to it, Nicole and I were talking about this, and I actually found Dana's wish list.
Yeah.
2020. And yeah, pool bathhouse upgrade or replacement. And even before that, yes, this was the one that I happen to readily have at my fingertips, but. And she said it was, you know, 800,000 to $2 million project, depending on how much we want to invest. But we needed to replace everything, handicap bathroom, family / unisex, yeah, so. So she, you know, so this has been in discussion for some time. But yeah, but you're right, we need to, and we have other projects that, you know, are probably gonna be happening sooner than later, and we need to consider the overall impact financially.
We should, to the extent that you can, we should look at all of them, even if we have, it would be a good idea to have a work session. Maybe we just talk about, you know, projects that we have on the horizon
Mhm.
and it ties into even we have our controller, you know, speak with us and make a presentation as to what we have available. Tie into what Dan was talking about. We have a discussion of all of it. Here's what we have available. Be fiscally responsible. Here's what bond rates are. And we can just take a look at everything. We can take a look at our whole financial picture.
That.
Yeah. That's gonna take some time to do that.
Right.
Yeah, and you gotta know what goes into that capital plan, so, which we're still trying to define, but yes. Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't have to be added deeper, or talk about concepts, what we're looking at there.
Right. Yeah, so we'll do that. Okay, so that was the full bathhouse bid, so we'll, thank you very much, Darren. And I had Joe here also to give us, you know, in case we had any questions for him, because Joe with Kellett Sessions or KSCJ is, they're the ones that worked on the bid spec. And
Darren is also a resident.
That's correct.
yeah,
They same, but
yeah.
You want to skip over the appointments, and I see we got the recommendation on pickleball court.
Yeah, we could jump to that.
So
Yeah, so that's,
still gonna be all.
so let's, this way we don't have to keep Nicole all night.
Right.
We'll just play here.
So then after that, we'll do the discussion for not as well.
Which one? We could, yeah, we could do the pertains to Nicole. Yes, let me hand this out. I have enough. Bathhouse.
Sorry.
Okay, so for the pickleball, we have again on the soft costs about $108,000, which included the concrete slab design, the engineering work, the survey work, the stormwater protection PPP. What's that? Pollution prevention plan. Yes. Bid spec and the construction management which has yet to occur, but that's about $108,000.
the ARPA funds.
Paid for by ARPA funds.
Which we already spent in soft costs.
No, we didn't spend all of it. Like I said, the construction management has yet to occur because we're not in construction, so we haven't been invoiced for that. But we have
Oh, it's
contracted.
part of it's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been
Contracted.
contracted for, right?
Because yeah, got construction management and other components, so none of those are.
So we have,
So what's is there a difference? Is so base mapping, site plan, SWIP plan, bid specs, and all of that comes within the purview, the way you wrote it, is the construction management, is that different, or all these other items come?
these are all
within the purview?
components within that contract, 86,000 that the board approved.
Okay, so it's construction management should, okay, the way you phrased it, okay. Construction management includes all those.
No.
No,
There's
Construction
separate
management
things.
is a component of that contract.
they're all separate components of the contract.
Okay,
Kelly.
just the way it was phrased, okay.
So next we have the actual work that we received, went out to bid, and the low bidder was 1,169,546.
Well, it's only one conforming bid, right?
No, he had multiple conforming bids, but this was the low bidder. The board was provided the list. I don't have, here's a, hold on a second. I brought copies just in case. So you can see that the bids, there was one that was not conforming for 753,000,
That's what I was talking about.
not conforming. The other 8 were conforming, but the low bidder is the one we're gonna actually go with. So we have an option now to, and this is what I want the board to vote on tonight, is to go out to bid again. The original bid or bid spec included the requirement to rip up the existing asphalt that's in the tennis courts and haul it away and bring in new materials for the subbase, which the post-tension concrete then gets placed on. What we would like to do is reclaim the existing asphalt, mill it, and use it as the subbase material. And we had a discussion together with Joe, and maybe Joe, if you want to come up and just talk to that a little bit. Together with the structural engineer, GMCE Engineering, we talked about doing that. And go ahead.
Yeah, so-
Joe.
If you could introduce yourself.
Sure. Joe Tremelli from KSCJ, consulting engineer. So as you mentioned, one of the means we would explore to try and potentially reduce cost is to keep the existing asphalt in place. There's obviously an expense to not only tear it up, but to dispose of it off-site at an approved facility. So to avoid that added cost, we would look at the ability to mill it, reclaim it, basically process it on site and use that as a portion of the subbase that we need for the court. It wouldn't provide all that we need. There'd still be some additional material brought in, but we would save the added expense of removing it and disposing it. In addition to that, we want to investigate the opportunity to reduce the thickness of the concrete slab and potentially either use smaller tendons or less tendons, the post tensioning, to provide the structural integrity. That may, if we can do that, that would also realize a cost savings.
But are we potentially undermining the quality of, or lack of a better term, foundation of what we're setting up here?
Well, that's why one of the first things we would do is take a sample of the asphalt, have that tested, and make sure it is something that we want to keep and use again on site. Odds are it is. We just want to know what we're dealing with. And we may need to supplement it a little bit with some added materials, but the odds are we could use it on site.
Just based on bouncing off what you're saying, this makes me think about like all the tennis courts and the deterioration and the shifting and all that stuff. It's a deja vu all over again as far as what we're doing here. In other words, what we're talking about, are we potentially setting up a situation where we're going to have the terminology, a structure failure where there's going to be too much shifting in the same way that tennis courts did? What's different?
I don't think so. We've walked this site a few times together. I personally, in my opinion, I don't believe the court is shifting or sliding or failing from a.
Why did it get into this? Well, then maybe go back and ask, why did it get into the shape that it did and deteriorate so badly?
I honestly think it's just natural lifespan of an asphalt product. You look at any road, if it's not maintained properly, over time, it develops cracks, potholes, and if neglected, they only get worse. Right? Asphalt it invites that problem. It's just the nature of the beast.
So why are we potentially going to be in the same situation?
We're going to be doing a reinforced concrete slab. It'll be a single concrete slab, similar to the basketball courts.
On top of
So it's a
asphalt.
very different design, very different animal. From a longevity standpoint, you'll put this court down, you probably won't look at it for 30 years, maybe some resurfacing, some restriping.
It's almost like a
The
floating
structure
slab
itself.
on top of the asphalt in a sense.
Yeah, well, we're looking to reuse the asphalt as a portion of the subbase required for the concrete slab. So structurally, we're not gonna propose something that's deficient to what was bid on already. We wouldn't want to do that. But the idea is to utilize what we can, supplement it as needed, modify the design of the slab a little bit so that we could try and save some cost.
Okay, so, all right, so then, since saving the costs as you're talking about, exploring that, we're not gonna sacrifice the life expectancy of
No.
what's gonna be put down. That's okay.
No, we wouldn't want to do that.
So in milling it and breaking apart the asphalt, you use it as sub-base material after it's been milled to create a sound base. And then you bring in probably a little bit less base material than we were
More than
planning on
likely,
to
correct.
begin.
So right now, there's, I believe, trying to remember the detail, I think there's maybe 3 or 4 inches of asphalt that makes up the tennis court today. As opposed to removing and disposing of all that material, we would take it, mill it, process it, make it a finer, I don't want to say gravel, but some kind of smaller stone sub-base material that we could blend with something other than the asphalt that makes a proper sub-base for what will then support the slab.
Is this any different from really a roadway? Aside doing a roadway, right, really, aside from the fact that it has more weight capacity?
The sub-base, no, it's typical, we reclaim roads all the time, so same idea.
Yeah.
But in lieu of an asphalt surface on top of it, we're going to do a reinforced concrete slab. So structurally, the end product will provide the same life and the same durability, the same function as what was originally designed. We're just looking at to value engineer it, if you will, and try and save some costs. We were surprised, frankly, the numbers, the way they came in. The one bid that didn't conform because he bid on something he assumed would be an approved alternate, but it was very different from what everybody else bid on. So we couldn't, I don't think we can accept that bid.
Right.
What does that mean? Approved all?
He submitted his bid with a caveat that this is my bid, but it's bid on the fact that I'm gonna build a court this way, not the way he designed it. I'm
That's the
gonna do
note.
something
that
different.
note that he-
It's improperly conditioned.
so it didn't conform to the bid spec.
It's conditioned bid.
But if you look at the next several bids, although they were higher than we anticipated, the grouping, the first 3 or 4 bids were within maybe 150,000 of each other. So the numbers weren't terrible. They were just a lot higher than we had hoped.
So in going out to bid again, then we were clearly explaining that we want to reuse what we've got and mill it
Oh,
as the
sure.
base.
Yeah, that will all be
So
specified.
everybody is clear on it and.
We were
hopefully the
clear when we went out
numbers-
originally. I don't know
Right.
why the low bidder decided to do what he did, but that's why we're here. But
Okay.
yeah, we'll obviously redesign the plans, redo the specifications, make it clear that this is now the approach and the design.
Great.
So once we go out to bid, I mean, I'm estimating that it's gonna come in less than 1.16 million. I estimated 850,000
What do you base that?
based on the initial non-conforming bid. And I added 100K to it. I don't know if that's a good number, but if we can get it below around that, $900,000 mark, I think that's a significant savings.
So, yeah, so that this goes back to the macro planning part. So in these two things now, we're talking about potentially $1.5 million, we're gonna have to borrow on.
Yeah, so let me finish, in terms of how much we're gonna have to borrow. So we have basically $225,000 in grants that we're gonna apply this towards, or apply towards a project, but we need to apply for those. We already have a commitment for that amount, but until you enter into a grant disbursement agreement, it's not finalized.
With the specificity of the project.
Right, so that needs, and then it has to go through the approval process at the state with state finance and BASNY.
Yeah.
And hopefully we should get that. There shouldn't be a problem. It's one grant from Senator Harcum and the other one's from Assemblymember Burdick. So that's the 225. And then we have a
So we're
50,000.
comfortable gonna get 225 paid
Yeah.
reimbursed.
Yes.
Grant, the grant.
Right.
Okay.
And then we have a $50,000 donation. So
From a family here in Lewisboro.
correct. So that means that we're gonna have to come up with another 575,000. Plus, there's a new we did get to change the design Macri sent us a revised proposal for $5,000. That's a change to the design to, to what Joe just described.
Well, I think it's fair to, fair to presume it'll probably end up being more like 700,000. Because we haven't had a project that's come in at or below the cost that we had it on based upon the passage of time. But
So
I've
what,
known any private-
Come in at 700, come in at,
I'm saying
More than
we're
850,000.
going, and no project that we've ever done has come in exactly the amount or less than what we were contemplating.
Right.
It's always come
Yeah.
in more.
what
Right.
cost us an additional $5,000?
the structural engineer who designed the slab.
We paid him $5,000 to
We-
redo the design to incorporate.
We paid
what we
him,
Just.
we
talked
paid him
about.
9,800.
Right.
For the concrete slab design.
So we paid him $5,000 for the alternative design.
He wants 5,000, correct. And that I'd like to get board approval on that if we do decide we're going to go out to bid again.
And we're thinking we're gonna save how much?
Joe, what do you think?
Approximately.
200,000?
No promises,
The-
approximately.
Yeah, okay.
The low bid that we received was based on only reclaiming the asphalt.
Uh-huh.
So if we can do that in addition to reducing the thickness of the slab, in addition to maybe reducing the number of tendons or the size of the tendons. You might be, where you're thinking, 800, hoping 900. I
Right.
wouldn't think we'd want to.
So it's well worth the additional $5,000 expenditure. That was fine. I was
Yeah.
just trying to.
Obviously,
Thanks,
it's no
Joe.
guarantee, but that, I would think that would be where
Right,
it would go.
right, yep. Okay,
Thank you.
okay, so,
Motion to reject the, last bid.
correct.
I'm so moved.
Second. I'll second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I moved.
so I'd like to motion that we approve the $5,000 proposal from GMCE Engineering for the redesign of the concrete slab.
Do we have to authorize the rebid? No,
It was in that motion.
That was in
It
there.
was rejected in the
Okay.
bid.
Rejected.
okay, that's our,
Do we need on that, or can you just do the some $5,000 expense?
Rather do it here now.
Yeah, okay, second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. All right, so while we have, let's go through Nicole's issues, Oh, that's right, okay. That was the tethered hot air balloon ride at Fine Day Fair. I'm sorry, if you don't mind coming up and your name and who you're with.
I'm Sujin Kang, and I'm the owner and operator of Fine Day Fair. Thank you for having me.
And Fine Day Fair we've hosted the Fine Day Fair.
Yes,
several-
this spring will be our 6th Fine Day Fair.
Okay.
So 4 of which have been at True.
Can you tell us a little bit about?
Sure,
What it
it's an
is.
inspired countryside brocante fair of 60 vendors and roughly 3,000 attendees, where they come to meet, shop, and unwind at True Farm Park in South Salem. So everything from home, garden, antiques, and soft goods.
And what's the date for it this year?
May 31st to June 1st. It's a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday.
And this year you'd like to have tethered hot air balloons.
It's an idea we've had brewing for a few years. We know a company based out of just outside of Rochester in the Finger Lakes region of New York called Liberty Balloon Company. It's a family-owned company that's been in operation since 1997. And tethered hot air balloons is a big thing over at the Hudson Valley Hot Air Balloon Festival. It's something you can see out in Arizona. It's when a hot air balloon is tethered to the ground and only raises up from anywhere between 50 to 100 feet, though the operator of Liberty said he usually does 50 to 70 feet off the ground. And the rides last about 5 minutes. He would only do them either 5 to 8 PM in the evening or 5 to 8 AM in the morning. So we are going to opt for Saturday, May 31st, 5 to 8 PM. Fine Day Fair ends at 4 PM. So there would be about an hour to prepare, and then those that have purchased tickets to go in the hot air balloon would return to the site at 5 o'clock.
And these balloons, they are powered by gas, right? Propane?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, actually, correct.
Okay.
I know that as a fact because he asked where the closest gas station, it's where the closest station would be if he needed more, if he were to do 2 days of it. We are not going to do 2 sessions of the hot air balloon, just one.
Mhm.
I thought there was one more question. Sorry.
And that's not like those small propane tanks that are used for barbecues, just.
I can get more
Yeah.
details for you on that, like true specs, so that you all can see
Right.
exactly what's being brought on site.
Such a nerd.
Yeah.
He wants to do,
compared to
build,
like those
he
big
wants to
ones.
build his own.
I would assume that not only your organization, but the town itself would be receiving a certificate of insurance. because of
Absolutely, is
the
additional
name
insured. One more note I wanted to say was that
disclaimer.
all riders would be signing a waiver for both Fine Day Fair as well as the town of Lewisboro. And also the balloon company has additional insurance, specifically an aviation policy. So it covers everything a general liability policy covers plus aviation risk. And they wanted me to say that today because
And will be covered, the town will be covered.
correct on both.
What's the amount of?
I haven't seen the covers on it yet, but I was, I feel like a fire later. $10 million.
Yes, should have, yeah, should have, it's.
And these are tethered, and you said they're only going up 50 to 75 feet,
Correct. And it'd be
the
100
permitting. Okay.
rides, 100 people to ride them. So that's the max.
So is this just subject to our town attorney reviewing the insurance? Releases.
It was just an additional activity.
That's my question. Do we authorize the fair yet?
So that's, is there a fee for that, or is it like, is that part of your admission? Is that-
There is a fee, but we would like to donate the fee to Honor True if that's okay with the town. It's not going to be a significant number, but we're hoping to find maybe like a local company that would sponsor the ride so that they'd have like a branded basket for the hot air balloon, and then we can donate the tickets to Honor True to beautify the sites.
Anybody be seeing up and away, it's like.
So my only concern is,
The fifth dimension.
you've seen like balloon accidents on the news and stuff, and but
Yep. So Carol, who is the owner, he specializes in tethers and in balloon programs all across
and
the
they have a good
country.
track record.
He has an incredible track record.
Okay.
So he actually trains, well, I wrote it down like sorry, I thought yeah. So he's done over 100 test flights as a designated pilot examiner for balloons. He still
Okay.
does that to this day.
Yeah.
He's been very specific. Should the weather look iffy at all, we cancel. It's just,
Okay.
it wouldn't be a big deal to just call it off, call the
Right.
whole thing off, which is honestly my
Mhm.
comfort preference anyway.
Right.
It's only if it's going to be an absolutely beautiful day and there's no wind, which is why he specifies those 2 time periods. It can never happen during the day. It has to be early in the morning or like later in the evening when the winds are down.
Okay.
Would we
So-
have to get clearance from other authorities as
Yeah.
far as?
FAA.
Yeah, that's my first thought, at less than so many feet. Yeah, it's not going to, yeah.
They haven't.
As long as it meets, the town is insured and that's my main concern.
I mean,
liability.
yeah,
Other than
yeah.
that, as long as all those requirements are met, I'm fine with it.
We can also maybe make like a safety SOP so that if any of those boxes are not checked,
Mhm.
the days leading up, we can cancel. I feel
Yeah.
we're happy to swallow the travel fee for the operator to come out.
Mhm.
And then they would just not charge us for the day of operation if something should, you know, you never know, sometimes winds pick up.
It would be nice
Right.
to have this all in writing,
Absolutely. I can get that.
To have us what?
In
have
writing.
it all in writing.
Oh, in writing, but you said have us write it in.
No, I respectfully decline the opportunity. Have we as the board approved the event? In
Not
May
yet.
yet?
I don't think so. No? Oh, we don't need to. You do that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's right. Okay, great. Would you like to motion?
sure.
All right.
Yeah, it is I motion that we accept with documentation and approval or oversight from the town attorney on the insurance and other documentation that we approve the tethered hot air balloon rides at Fun Day Fair on May 31st from 5 to 8 with all the proper documentation and standard operating procedure.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Question, sorry, for the fair, you have food vendors, I assume.
We have two food vendors.
Two food vendors, would they be looking to do like compostable utensils? Do you have any?
Sure.
Talk to them about that?
Absolutely.
That would
We'd
be,
be totally open to that.
that would be very cool.
It's a pizza truck called Ash and Ale,
Okay,
based out of Westchester
Well,
County.
I'll listen to like reminder through.
Great.
That'd be great.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, let's move on with the other Parks and Rec. So Nicole is looking to auction the Chevrolet Impala. Sent her this a copy of her letter to us. So this is through, we're gonna list it at Auctions International.
Hopefully this is
So
in
this
better
is-
condition than some of the other things on Auctions International.
So last year, Kevin Finney had told me that the car was going to need to be replaced this year. So during budget season, I had proposed to Tony to put a vehicle in the budget. I was instructed that we do not put it in the budget, that we would capital for it. So come the new year, we're at 130,000 miles and the transmission is slipping. So I was told that we can no longer transport seniors in that vehicle. So we've been getting by. I do have one senior that calls me every day to find out what is going on with a vehicle because she cannot get into our Traverse. We were using a step stool, but some individuals cannot use that to climb in. So looking to auction that vehicle in hopes to get some funds to apply towards another. That again is not budgeted for. So do you want me to proceed on to the next
It's-
portion?
Yeah, you can. So,
Okay.
so just to clarify on the not budgeted for, because it is a capital expense, right? It's a vehicle. So we don't put that in the budget unless it's leased. So
You can basically add to the car.
not the Impala, no.
Classic.
It's a classic, but
Something.
but yeah, so that leads into the vehicle that we're looking to purchase.
So I met with Chris Cacaro from Sustainability. He had looked into vehicles, grants. There is a grant opportunity that is not dispersed until July through his job. But I don't think that we can wait until July. So I did go through the state contract. I did a mini bid on a Leaf EV. I got 3 dealerships that sent back. Lowest is $20,835. That is with the current $17,000 in incentives on the 2025 Leaf EVs. Because they're now already rolling out 2026s.
Say that again, the lowest price was what?
$20,835.07. And then the highest was 28. $967. I was also asked to get a quote to rent a sedan. So I contacted Hertz. I had to give a time limit in order to get any type of quote. So I did 4 months and they quoted us just over $5,000. Roughly $43 a day to have a sedan.
Mhm.
For 4 months.
And you would need that until you get the leaf, you would need to, you would need that.
If we're waiting till July,
Yeah,
But she doesn't wanna
Yeah.
wait till July, so if
Right.
we wait till July, the vehicle will be less. But she doesn't feel we can wait till July, so she's asking us to spend
To
the
rent,
20,000.
yeah.
No, she's asking us to spend the $20,000 now. On a new, the
the
leaf.
leaf.
If we're gonna wait until July, then we have to.
Oh,
get
then we have
through.
to, yeah.
That's what the.
If we spend the $20,000 and 835.07, could we possibly apply for that grant to get reimbursed for the amount, or is it?
we didn't receive all of those details from,
Yeah, you probably
Correct.
can't buy it
So
before,
Okay.
you have to have the grant
This
first.
20,000 we're contemplating spending, what is that exactly? That's for one person.
well, it would be for all senior transportation to medical appointments.
It's
But
not
I
just-
have one that does receive transportation from us to multiple appointments all year long, that we cannot provide the services to right now.
Because the vehicle sits too high and they can't get in it.
But the Impala was designated to senior transportation for medical appointments.
Just wondering. Uber type option for this person, like, it's expensive.
But the thing is, it's
Good
more
idea.
than just one person. It's
Right, we
for
have
all the
multiple-
seniors who go to their appointments. Pam drove a lot of people around to a lot of different appointments. And
So are we spending more than $43 a day if we did that option? That's the question. The Uber. I don't know.
I haven't,
Is-
I don't know about you, but I've never been able to get an Uber to come to our house.
No,
I mean,
you
is
can
it
get them to
fair
bring
to
you
ask an
home, but you
80-something-year-old
can't get them
woman?
to pick you up.
And we were discussing this, but the maintenance on the Leaf is almost zero. I've had 2 so far. And over the life of those, the only thing I ever had to do was fix a door handle and on one, because they have no moving parts, so, and they also have good resale value. We were able to sell ours for $10,000, got it for 20.
Well, you do have to rotate the tires.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Make
but
sure the
that's
other things.
tires,
I mean, you
but-
have to.
Even
Cars
the,
and
even the,
brakes,
even-
but even the brakes last a long time.
yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
the brakes last longer than.
Could you lease it and then an option to purchase it after the grab my kid?
I don't know. I don't know the details of the grant. But let me ask you a question. The senior van now, that you're using, they use a step stool, right? To get in and
Into the
out?
bus,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So. And I know we spoke about this, but can they continue to use the step stool for this short period of time until we,
But some of the people can't use the steps.
But I have
That's what
this-
you're saying.
yeah,
The
That
step
cannot,
stool-
but even with the bus, like that
that person doesn't use the bus,
Okay,
doesn't
got it,
go
got
to
it.
the
Okay.
meetings.
So over the last year, is essentially one person that needs a lower end
Pam-
vehicle?
No. Yeah, I guess maybe, but Pam drove this vehicle every day for every individual that she took to medical appointments. She didn't take the Traverse. The Traverse was for the rest of the department, or we had the van as well.
So right now, you're using the Traverse in the meantime. But the Traverse isn't
It
specifically.
was
for the
not
seniors, the
specifically for this,
Impala was.
correct.
The Leaf is in stock.
Now is
Yeah.
going to be, correct.
Yeah.
Specifically for the seniors.
So rather than pay $5,000 to rent the car for 4 months, or rather buy a $20,000 lease, a Leaf.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
what
not.
buy means, not lease.
No, I'm saying instead of, oh.
He
instead
meant
of-
to say Leaf.
Sorry, the Leaf. I think I corrected myself. Yeah. So, okay. I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, you need the vehicle. Yeah,
It's a unique discount with the end of the model and everything, and that's pretty darn cheap.
and then like you said, the resale, if we decide to resell it in
Something else.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
That'd be a good money for it. Okay. All right, so can I have a motion to buy a Nissan Leaf for Parks and Rec for the seniors?
Just in the motion that it's offered, OGS.
Correct.
I move that we authorize the head of Parks and Rec to purchase off the state list. From an OGS. I lost my place. For $20,835.36.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed.
Should
For
we round it
the
up?
leaf.
Is that the exact
It-
price or they're not?
7 cents. So yes, you
Okay.
can round up.
She rounded off, we're good.
Yeah.
I rounded up.
Okay,
Anyone care to second?
I'll second. Discussion? Oh, roll call, yeah.
Well,
Rich.
we still have to, are we done with the
No
discussion?
discussion?
Okay.
Yeah. Rich? Roll call. Okay.
Yes,
I'm a yes.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Dan Welsh.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nicole.
and
Yeah.
And
the
approving the auction.
Yeah, so now since
I
we
move
placed it,
that we approve the auction of the Chevy Impala at 135,000 miles and slipping transmission. With Auctions International.
hope for the best.
Second.
discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
My post will be there.
And the last one?
I think the last one is the temporary one-time RV parking at Leon Levy Preserve.
4.
Let Nicole explain.
I received a phone call from a wedding planner. A couple is getting married at Les Chateaux. Their family, which if I understand correctly, lives in town. But the wedding is being held on the day of Shabbat. They observe Shabbat. They cannot drive in a vehicle or even be driven in a vehicle on that day. So they have requested to park an RV at Leon Levy from Friday at sundown through Sunday at sunrise, July 25th through 27th. And they will walk to Les Chateaux from Leon Levy for the day of festivities.
And those are the busy months, right?
It is busy. After I had called the wedding planner back, she then had said that there was a possibility of 1 to 3 RVs. I said 3 was definitely pushing it. We could consider 2 if the individuals of the third could split between the other 2 RVs.
What about
And that
parking the
would
RVs at Le Chateau?
So that was not discussed, but I'm assuming that there are other events Friday night or Sunday that Les Chateaux is not permitting them to park there.
Aren't there like RVs and RVs? Like there could be like really big RVs and there can be less
Yeah.
big RVs.
Mhm.
Do we know? Are these like?
Did we have enough information and not for anything, the RVs could take up the entire parking lot. The parking lot's not that big.
And
Correct.
if they park it in a particular way, then
They
it's,
said that they would park in the back corner.
They may
I did
be
bring
okay.
this to OSPAC and they did not have
She said
an issue.
You said $250.
$250 per RV. Then I would supply them with a permit to put in their windshield and let the police know.
And they're gonna sign off that we have no.
Correct,
liability
provide
for
insurance,
that, or they
all of that.
walk to. Le Chateau.
Yeah. Is
For
it
beer.
per
is
night
it
or
2
altogether?
per,
Altogether.
Come on now.
It's
So
one,
I-
it's 1.5 days. I mean, they're coming in at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, leaving at sunrise on Sunday morning.
So it's really one full day of
It's a day and a half.
Right,
Well, yeah.
day and a half. And from what I understand, they are residents.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be setting a precedent. That's one of my
Right.
concerns, right? Because we do it once, then who's gonna ask us? So I'd rather they go back to Le Chateau and Le Chateau wants the wedding, they should accommodate.
Well, we do have horse trailers that come in and park, right? But they're in and out, I guess.
Correct. They're immediately
Have they
to that left
communicated?
when,
Have they communicated that there's no other option?
I've only spoken to the wedding planner. I haven't spoken to these individuals. She has not said that they've reached out to any other places.
Presumably would know why there's an issue with the shed. I mean, they have.
Or-
Especially after the expansion.
I was,
And they gotta cross 35.
It's so dangerous to walk up the hill on 123 and then cross
It's
through 35 and
That's
then
why
walk on 35.
I said all of this to the wedding
I was
planner.
thinking they should cut a deal with I don't know what they call it anymore, pinchbacks, the nursery there, because then they don't have to cross anything, if they can find a place.
in Richfield, you mean?
Yeah, just over the
Oh,
border.
over
There's the nursery that's in Richfield on Peaceable Street.
I thought that was in South Salem. That's
No,
not,
it's over
that's
the
over the
border.
I
border?
mean, make a left on piece on the left side.
But that way they never have to cross, they're just walking along.
That's an option.
They cut across from property to,
No,
No, they'd have to walk on Peaceable.
so they do have to
face
to
the wall.
35,
Yeah.
okay,
to
yeah,
35, but they wouldn't have to cross the street.
right.
It just,
Let's make that recommendation.
Mhm.
it just,
And we don't know. if they'll-
there's so much that's challenging. We'd like to,
Would that squeeze out other vehicles that the time of the year in that parking lot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
potentially. I think it's all going to depend on the weather as well.
yeah,
They could walk through the park. Instead of on one
I
twenty-three.
think, no, the thing is, they're going to a wedding.
I know.
No one's going to put on hiking boots
Maybe
to
they
go
could
to a wedding.
maybe we just find out what the Le Chateau option is, if there is one, maybe swing back.
When's this one?
July
The other
26th.
thing
Well,
is,
we have time, they
should-
may not have time. They already booked the place, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And suggest reaching out to the state police as far as safety goes. Since it's a state road.
Okay, so we're not gonna, you're gonna go back to them.
You got it.
We'll table it.
Table.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. I think that was it for you, right? Thank you very much. Okay. So let's go back to the top. So these should be quick. So we want Timmy Parsons, I'd like to go ahead and motion to appoint Timmy Parsons to the Landmarks Advisory Committee for a term expiring 12/31/2026.
So moved.
Discussion,
Second.
Right.
I have motion. Rich second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll go ahead and motion to appoint Gwen Faust to the Town Pool Advisory Committee for a term expiring 12/31/2027.
Second,
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to go ahead and motion to appoint Nancy Bacana to the Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee for a term expiring 12/31/2028. I have a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to appoint Kara Barrett to the Advisory Committee for the Disabled for a term expiring 12/31/2027.
second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to appoint Elizabeth DeAngelis to the Conservation Advisory Council to fill the remaining term for John Wolf for a term expiring 12/31/2025.
second,
Correct.
Discussion.
Typo 2025. Yes.
2025.
yeah,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we have Suburban Parting's application to collect food scrap compost at 3 town locations. So basically, the existing curbside composting came in at a higher cost. So we went to Suburban Parting. And when I say we, it was Jessica Gallagher from our Sustainability Committee who went and spoke to them and came back with a proposal. We budgeted $13,500 for the food scrap program. This actually comes in at 5,100 for collection service for 1 year.
Why don't we put something like this out to bid as an exempt or below a certain threshold?
It's below
Below-
50,000.
yeah.
It's also-
I mean, it's-
We got two bids. It's, I think if, when it's, I forget now, if it's above 20,000, 25,000, it needs, I mean, this is a service. So
You, for the purpose of the compost? They pay you.
they're paying us to pick up the food scraps.
I bet you're all.
Right.
You're not purchasing the service.
Wait a minute, this,
So the
yes, we are.
The project is.
We're paying them to pick up food scraps.
Public works is 35,000.
Correct. And this is a public works, right?
Well,
Okay. And in addition, and that's for 3 sites, that's here at Town Hall, on a True in Fox Valley, up to 10 toters per site. So currently we're doing about 4 or 3, depending on the site, so option to expand. And they will give back 10 cubic yards of compost for $500. They'll provide, it's called a give back, but they'll provide it to us for residents to pick up and use.
Which we've done in the past.
Correct.
Yeah, I think.
So it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's
They were
less than
interested
less.
in trying to do it twice this year, because it's something I did once.
I think I read that somewhere.
Once in the
Yeah,
spring.
I have to go back and, oh, here it is, here it is. The 3 drop-off locations. Yeah, it doesn't say, but I'm assuming it's at least the once a week like they're doing now.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
Those bins fill up quickly.
yeah, it's, I would say it's, but you think it's twice a week?
No, the compost
Twice a
drop
year.
Oh,
off.
the compost drop-off, okay.
Yeah, they wanted, in other words, they have done a single event in past years, but they want to do two
Actually, for this quote, it's 10 yards of compost in the spring.
in spring. All right, well, you
Yeah,
can always go back to it.
right.
Do you have any idea how many people are availing themselves of this?
A lot. I mean, I can't quantify because but every time I look out the window, there's somebody there, at least here.
This isn't my favorite program, but I know it's well used.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I went on Saturday to, on a true, the 2 of the 3 bins were
Full.
completely full.
Yeah.
Get a
Nice.
few more to it.
Yeah,
So I see there's no cleaning with this?
not with Suburban, they're
What
going
is the
to,
line?
we're gonna purchase liners and line or they will line, once they empty, they're gonna line the totes.
What does that mean?
Back.
A bag.
And then they take out the bag?
It gets dumped into the truck, bag and all. And then
Okay.
once it's empty, they put a new bag in.
Because it
Yeah.
smells in the
Yeah.
summer.
In
Yeah,
the summer, it's better.
well, the locks have to be fixed. And I've noticed that when it's locked and secured, it don't smell. But yeah, when it's open, it
smells
does.
less.
Yeah.
It still smells.
Yeah. But that's what they're gonna do. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
So they
important.
won't wash. that,
no.
because
No,
this group now does.
right. Only in the spring or the summer. Right,
When it's really smelly. Hence
Right.
the need for washing.
right.
But we haven't been using bags though, so this will be.
We haven't.
So this will be
Is that
an
gonna,
improvement in that respect.
yeah, hopefully it'll keep from getting stuck to the inside of the
Hopefully.
totes, yeah,
Trial
see
and
how it
error.
goes.
It's gonna be a trial and error thing.
right.
But we're not addressing the issue with banner stuff.
She's,
Say it
she
again?
said it smells.
Right.
Yes, in the summertime, Tony said the locks have to be fixed. And the company that we're using now doesn't use liners. So the use of the liners may reduce the odor, we don't know.
They don't wash it. No.
No, but if you use a liner, then the initial washing. We are assuming.
Initially, when we installed it,
is-
we didn't wash them either. The washing was only done last year for the first time.
But the locks haven't been
Correct. Alexa
Repaired.
fixed.
at all. So hopefully that will help.
I don't know if the liners are going to help, but it sounds like that's an attempt.
They have bags that like absorb smell of certain.
Like
I don't know.
the ones that smell
Compostable
like
house.
flowers that you buy at the supermarket, like those.
All right, so I'd like to go ahead and motion that we approve Suburban Carting for hauling of our food compost per the terms in your proposal
So it's for the next year?
for the next year.
It's a year's contract. The current one, I think, is about to end.
Yeah, the current one's about to end.
It'll be a year.
Yeah, it's a year contract, yes,
Your
1 year.
contract commencing upon completion of the current contract.
correct.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Do we have to roll call? No. Oh, okay, great.
Okay, so next we have, last but not least. The Meadows at Cross River, their sewage works corporation's request for sewage treatment rate increase. So they're proposing a 6% increase to the residents of the district, of their sewer district.
And when was the last time? It's been 2 years
it's been
since
2 years.
they had an increase.
Was 2 years prior, yes. And why, explain again, Greg, why did they have to come to the town for this? It's not like we're giving them permission, right?
Yeah,
We're
it's something
just,
in their bylaws that requires them to provide by the downward approval.
okay,
Development plan.
right,
For the,
okay,
private.
right,
We don't collect it.
no.
No,
We don't collect it, we don't get any
but
benefit from it.
No.
Like it's a control they had built into, their own. offering,
Right.
and so that, and the bylaws, so. Not managing the patient couldn't run wild with the.
Right, yeah, okay,
I would
The
hope
actual-
that if anybody was really upset about
They
this,
would.
they'd speak here.
yeah,
Somebody came to, something.
yeah, no, they didn't, no, no.
There was an extended period between raises.
Right.
Before we did that.
So this will be a motion to approve the rate increase by the Meadows Sewer Board.
The Cross River Sewage Works Corporation's request for sewage treatment rate
Go ahead,
increase.
you motion, is that their name? Waiting for the exact name here, but
We want to use these numbers, this is in the email here, $90 a quarter to $80 a quarter, and for the usage from $8.50 per thousand gallons to $8.75 per thousand gallons.
As recommended by Councilman Welch.
I'll second that. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So that's that. All right, public comment number 2 for new business. Anybody here would like to say anything? Related to the new business items? New business items. Yes, name and hamlet, please.
Okay, Mike Gordon, South Salem. So I'd just like to briefly congratulate the board on passing something this evening, I think, related to electric vehicles, and I'd like to make an electric vehicle purchase of an electric vehicle, and I'd like to make a couple of general comments about it. There are a lot of things that are under threat at this moment, including tax benefits for electric vehicles, tax benefits for solar power developed, and also grants that go from the federal government to the state government. Some have been pulled back, others are just under threat for future years. But the point is that a lot of the money that the state is distributing to Lewisboro specifically, or that Lewisboro can apply for specifically, is going to dry up. So I would encourage the board to take advantage of whatever is sensible for residents to take advantage of while the getting's good. And I will, if I think I have 3 minutes, so I'm gonna tell a story. And then if it rings, it rings. A friend of mine will remain anonymous because she represents about 2,000 buildings electricity purchase, federal government buildings, facilities electricity purchase in California. And they had a price for their electricity for these federal buildings of about 11 cents a kilowatt hour. And the utility had a price of about 13 cents per kilowatt hour. But upon the new administration taking charge, because the name had blank, clean energy in it. All of the facilities were removed from her accounts and brought to the utility accounts at a cost of substantial millions of dollars to taxpayers. So I think that we need to be particularly vigilant. This is not necessarily just the elimination of programs that are saving money for the government. They're often programs that are costing money for us taxpayers. So when I say we should take advantage of what we can take advantage of that is beneficial to Lewisboro consumers, I say, while the getting's good, we should take advantage of what is beneficial to Lewisboro consumers and to quality of life. Thanks. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else here? How about on Zoom, Jenny?
Yes. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm just sitting here listening to this meeting. I have a couple of comments. First of all, I was under the impression that our comptroller was supposed to have information regarding the fund balance a while ago. I think we've been waiting for that information for a while. Last time she spoke, she was going to get information together and come back and speak to it as to how much there was, what we could use it for, etc. So I think that needs to be accelerated a little, because as I'm sitting here listening, we're talking about, again, kind of in a cavalier way about spending almost another $2 million at this point. My question is, when does it stop? We need some items. We don't need all of them. I'd love to have everything too as a resident, but when you have a limited amount of funds and you have infrastructure issues that are much more pressing, I think we should be scaling back on some other projects. We certainly need a bathhouse renovation, but do we need pickleball courts right now? Between the bathhouse and the pickleball courts, you're talking about almost $2 million that you have to find some way, whether you do a bond or whether you take from the fund balance. And I think it's just a little tone deaf of the board. People are struggling, and they have been struggling for years. This is not new. This is not new with the new economy. This has been going on for a while now, where taxes have been out of control in not only Westchester, but New York and most of the country. And it's not going to get any better. So I think that you have to do a lot of soul searching on that board and figure out just what we're going to use this money for and where the money is coming from. The other question I had, maybe somebody could answer at some point tonight. I thought we were buying a new bus or van. That was a conversation several board meetings ago for the seniors. So I'm a little confused as to what this other item is tonight that we're purchasing. Because you spoke about that, Tony, several meetings ago, where we were getting a grant or working towards monies to get a new van or bus. I don't know if they're interchangeable. And that's really it. I just think you need to be a little more aware of, what you're putting out there, what you're looking to spend, and how it's going to affect people. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Barbara. Carol Cernak, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, it's Carol Cernak at 70 Spring Street South, South Salem. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Carol.
So first, I'd like to thank Rich for responding to my correspondence, and also it's difficult to correspond in my situation to Dan and Mary and Andrea. I'm not sure why. I have all their phone numbers in my account, but they weren't included in most of my correspondence. But I would like to speak about the building permit fees, and I know it's not new business, but you don't provide us an avenue to speak about this stuff without hearing the changes until after we speak. So I'm going to speak to the changes. How does this affect somebody who has paid in 2022 a $30,000 building permit fee and then was fined in 2023 for another $38,000 because the builder, the general contractor, or the owner did not receive an email correspondence from the building permit. So under this new structure, do we get a refund? You seem to be awarding the offenders and not the building permit owners who are following the laws and the fees. How do you justify this? I don't understand it. This is freaking crazy. I don't think you're thinking this through. You need to rethink it. And how is your building, when your numbers drop on the building department fees based on this new structure, where's your income going to be coming from? Because you're going to find it from someplace else. So this doesn't make any sense to me. And you're rewarding the offenders and not the people who are following the rules. I declare I need a refund. Farview Farm, Carol Cernak, 70 Spring Street South. Thank you. Not to mention the fees we paid for electrical, septic, everything, propane, everything. I would like to hear a comment from somebody. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carol. Dean Travelino, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. My new headset works. I wasn't calling in for this reason, but I heard tonight, if it's true that you're buying a new handicap bus at some point or a senior bus and the old one's not handicap accessible, I hope that you might consider one that would accept wheelchair passengers. Not just in case I want to go gambling on being a son, but also special needs children. I think an ADA bus should be able to handle people in wheelchairs, if that's correct. But what I'm really speaking about is for those who were not around or don't remember, in the early 1990s, the library fair offered tethered hot air balloon rides for a few years. This local resident who was a Vietnam helicopter pilot who had that as a side hobby. And it's very exciting to come down Elmwood Road and see the balloon waiting. I'm not sure, I think he moved out of town, but that would not be the first time for Lewisboro. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, Dean. Kathy Deutsch, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, Kathy Deutsch, Vista. I'm addressing something pertaining to a letter that Tony sent last week to the residents of the Oak Ridge Water District. And I would just like some further clarification on some of these grants or loans that we're waiting on approvals from the U.S. Treasury, federal funding. Many residents here have already kind of taken on more fees for our water. And in the event that these do not come through and we're short funding to complete the project, I'd like to know what contingency plans are being considered to offset this. The U.S. aid package and the pause in federal funding is very concerning. Additionally, in the same subject, I'd like to know if there are any other programs or things in our town that have been affected, which residents don't yet know about. So I would appreciate it if this could be addressed during polling so that the public could have a response, particularly the Oak Ridge Water District, but also to know how our town is being affected in this manner. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Simone O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening. Briefly,
I just want to say I also agree with Barbara Mangione regarding the spending. I also think it's great to get everything, but we need to be careful. It's a lot of money we're talking about, and it doesn't really sound like there's a clear-cut way of who's getting it or who's giving it. So I would also ask that we be a little bit more conservative with our finances. Also, I was kind of taken back. I don't know what the rule is. I thought we weren't supposed to reference politics. And there was a speaker tonight that spoke. And several meetings ago, I addressed it because in the audience, that person was extremely rude to our two female councilwomen, and that was never addressed. And this same person spoke, making references to politics, no apology for that prior behavior. And that's very disappointing. And finally, in regards to the letter that Kathy just spoke about to Oak Ridge residents, I also was disappointed because this has been going on for how many years? I try not to even speak about it because it's so frustrating. And now there's delays, and it's being blamed partially on the new administration. And I think that's a cop out. And I think you have to call it as it is. We didn't do anything. I'm saying we, it certainly wasn't me, but we didn't do anything for years and years. And then the costs almost doubled. And now there's a delay because there's a new administration, allegedly. That's disappointing. And I also would like to know what the backup plan is if monies that were counted on don't come through. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. All right,
On the Meadows, that's actually, the Sewerworks Corporation actually was formed under the Transportation Corporation law, and they do require the consent of the municipality to
Okay.
deal with any rates.
right, got it. Thank you. Okay, next we have approval of claims. I'd like to go ahead and motion that we approve the claims. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Holding of the board. Let's start with Rich.
Thanks. Just kind of want to echo what I said during the meeting a little bit. I think that we, going forward, in light of a whole bunch of factors that are going on, we have to really spend time on long-term capital planning. We have a lot of competing projects, a lot of competing things that need to be done, limited money in which to do it. We have to look at them all together and figure out what our priorities are. Difference between, needs, infrastructure as opposed to wants, and we have to ensure, as I look at it, that the money that we spend on larger projects benefits the most amount of people in our town, especially when we have to make choices. So we have to do things that are going to benefit the most amount of people for the money, the limited money that we can spend. It's just, we got to take a look at that going forward, or else we don't want to be in a situation where we're jumping the gun as far as spending large amounts of money, and then something we need and it's more urgent by way of an expenditure, we don't have the money to do it. So we just got to be careful. We got to be deliberate in our process, be methodical and precise as we proceed.
Andrew.
Okay, a couple things. In the beginning of the beginning of my term, March of that year, I brought up the idea of bringing sustainability partners in to help us move forward with projects and issues, et cetera, at Oak Ridge. Here we are now at the end of my 4-year term, and we've had a couple of conversations and nothing substantial. I think we're getting to the point where we really need to have a sit down with them and whomever it is at Oak Ridge to lay out a plan to see what the cost benefit analysis is, especially under the current situation and delays. So that's one. Second, I agree with Rich. I think that we have a deadline coming, with regard to losing Lewisboro Elementary School and our offices being displaced, but more importantly, our police department being displaced. And I know that, we're in the process of checking out sites and plans throughout town, but there's so many moving parts with each one of those potential proposals that it doesn't look like anything is happening with any adequate speed. So we might want to look at convening some sort of committee of community members who can work on the police station location, et cetera, in combination with perhaps another committee, or if that's too many committees, work with a few of us on the board with regard to a plan as to where our town offices are going to be and in what order they're going to be moved and renovated and rebuilt or purchased or whatever the options may be. So I think we really, I'm agreeing with Rich, we need to have a long-term plan, but I think that we have to find temporary residences, but more importantly, we really need to find a more permanent solution for our police department. Last, I had the opportunity to attend the Association of Towns meeting early last week. I sat through 2 days of continuing legal education programs, specifically having to do with towns and programs and legal issues that affect towns. It was incredibly enjoyable, came away with a lot of information, very eye-opening. I did see Tony there, as well as the supervisor from North Salem, supervisor from Pound Ridge. It was definitely a good event. And just a little plug, support small business in town. We have new ones open. We have ones that have been around for several years, and they are all wonderful people who provide wonderful services. So support local business.
Thank you. Mary.
I second that motion about shopping local. Having grown up in a family business, I know how important it is not only for the community, but the people who run the businesses. It's really important. And also, I attended the funeral of Fire Chief Heck this past weekend, and father of the current chief. And it was a wonderful thing to see everyone come together and bear witness to his legacy. And I will repeat again, please volunteer for our fire departments and for our Lewisboro Volunteer Ambulance Corps. That's also something that we have to consider when we think about infrastructure, because LVAC has an ambulance that's sitting without a roof over it or any insulation to keep the oxygen at a proper temperature. So the LVAC people also don't have a place to bunk. So I agree that there are a lot of moving parts. But I do believe that there are meetings that have been happening. It's just, we need to proceed in a way that considers the large picture and that everyone feels that they've been able to give input, which I'm sure will happen with a committee or a task force, whatever you want to call it, with the proper stakeholders engaged. We did apply for a grant for a van for the seniors. We haven't heard whether we've gotten it or not, but it is an ADA compliant vehicle that we hope to acquire. 11 passenger ADA compliant van.
Non-CDL.
And you don't need a special commercial driver's license to drive it. So you just need a waiver and insurance. Anything else?
Good.
I think so.
Yeah,
And thank you to all the volunteers who make a difference for our town as well. We can't do it without you, as well as the employees of the town of Lewisboro.
I'd like to, well, first of all, just, did we alert people that we got the grant from the county for the climate action plan?
Oh, no. No,
Yeah,
that's good point.
that's worth noting. So we had applied to be a part of a county program to where they would provide the resources to support us in the development of greenhouse gas inventory and a climate action plan, and we were accepted as one of the participants in that. So we're looking forward on the committee to working with their consultants and working on that project. I'd like to just go back to this bigger picture, sort of national events that are going on, and there's a comment that that's political. I don't think it's really that political to policy stuff. And normally, we like to stick to, our little box here, and I'm all in favor of that. But there's a lot of stuff that is going on that's going to affect people, whether it be firing all the CDC staff. So there's nobody watching the store and collaborating globally on things when we have, bird flu and variant of COVID. We've got neighbors, here in Westchester being swept up and people being shipped off to Guantanamo at this point, which is just really crazy. We've got threats of tariffs that threaten a trade war with Canada, which could cut off energy supplies and raise all our rates and create a crisis there. Got tens of thousands of federal staff just dismissed, and that could include neighbors and children of neighbors and all that. So I guess I get it that we like to stay focused locally, but I think there is room for expressing ourselves around policy issues. And I would recommend that we think about it a little bit and perhaps express our thoughts about these matters to our regional congressional representative, just because they do affect us, and we are one voice out there for them.
Thanks, Deb. All right, so yeah, I have a couple of things as well. So first of all, I'd like to, this was an email that was sent to Parks and Rec, to Katie Colaccini and Nicole, from a resident who says, good morning, I just want to reach out to thank the both of you and the rest of your staff. Naomi and Sonia had such a great evening at the Sweetheart Dance. As their dad, nothing points to a good night more than seeing them so happy. You comprise a lot about what it makes this community special, and I speak for many when I say that. We really appreciate your efforts. Have a great weekend. So thank you, Nicole, to you and your team. It's great. Couple of things. Yeah, Barbara made a comment about the taxes that we pay. So again, first of all, your town taxes are not high. It comprises about 8% of your tax bill. A lot of the infrastructure projects that we're looking to do haven't been done, like I stated earlier, in years. Things have, I have a stack of plans for facilities that go back to 1999. Nothing was ever done. So eventually somebody's gotta have to bite the bullet and get this work done. So we're focusing on that. I did say that we're gonna form a committee a while back. That includes, in fact, I got Mike Lynch over at South Salem Fire Department. He has experience and he worked in some of the prior planning that the town did. So he's interested. I spoke to him actually on Sunday. Again, I saw him at an event, which was a final salute by the Veterans Advisory Committee for Wally Golan, who passed away at 100 years old and was a World War II veteran. So that was a great event over at Walkabout Country Club. But yeah, so we'll form a committee. We do have a lot of different options, so we need to come to basically a short list of what the options are, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to review with all the department heads. I've already engaged some of the department heads today. I was with Nicole, Joel, and the chief, and we had an architect. We went and looked at 3 potential sites for police department and court location. So there's going to be data that's going to be coming back to us from that, and then we'll sit down and we'll review what the options are. So yeah, is it going to require us borrowing and increasing our taxes a little bit more? Potentially. Are we going to have to, it could be a combination of using what's in our balance, fund balance. But eventually it's got to get done. So, I think, now's the time to really focus on doing this. We're doing great financially. And I think we just need to figure out, to Rich's point, take everything in, figure out what the amount's going to be at the end of the day, and then figure out how to finance it. So that work is underway. And yeah, and regarding the van, I was going to say also that CDBG grant, we were expecting a decision this month. Haven't received it yet, but we'll look into that. Carrie Wolf, our chief of staff, she's the one spearheading that. And there was a question about how many vehicles we use. So yeah, there is a car, which is what Nicole is looking to, we just approved replacing. And there is the van, the senior van. So there are 2 vehicles used for our seniors. And the van is being paid for by this community development block grant through Westchester County and the housing and urban development. So it's federal dollars coming into the county. Regarding Oak Ridge, yeah, so this project, I've heard someone mention it's been going on for years. The project we're working on now actually started as a result of a New York State mandate in 2021. So in 2022 is when we designed, 22 to 23 designed the work that's going on now. We were successful in getting some grants. There was nothing political about the statement I put up. That was information sharing with the district. I did get 3 emails and 3 notices from the Department of Justice, EPA, and there was a third government agency. I forget all the initials. But they basically said, we know you have a federal grant. There's a temporary restraining order on the federal pause of federal funding pause. And this was executed by 19 states that filed this order through the court system, through federal court. So they were basically given a heads up that, yeah, they're pushing back on this executive order that came out of Washington. And I have been tapping into the EPA to pay off some of the invoices that we have for that project. The one that was taking longer than it should, which got me a little bit concerned, we actually received it on Thursday. It hit our bank. So that EPA money is still coming in, and we hope it stays that way. The New York State EFC grant, which is also a grant for Oak Ridge, I learned that this Association of Towns, it's made up of federal dollars as well from the EPA. When asked, somebody in the audience asked the EFC, EFC is New York State Environmental Facilities Corp. What they knew, they said, well, we're just being told to work business as usual until further notice. But just keep in mind that some of that grant money that we received, that we've used about 75% of already, and that was also in my email, does consist of federal dollars. So nothing political about that statement. It was basically to address the schedule and to address the information that I received. So I'm just being transparent with the folks in the district. Regarding the schedule, yes, there's a 2-month delay. There were some unforeseen circumstances, but two-month delay is really not going to, change things. We're going to get the project done. It's going to get done right, and that's all that matters. And that's what I'm looking to make sure happens. On the comment about the building department fee from Carol, these new fees does not change the initial application fee. So whatever you paid for your application fee, there's not going to be any refunding. And this only applies for anyone that needs to renew their permits. So if you had an issue with fines, that's another topic, which I can't address here, and especially without the details. And I think that's all I had. Yeah, so hopefully, yeah, and in terms of, there was a question by Kathy about other impacts. The senior van, that's federal dollars. Is that going to be impacted? I don't know. That's the only other grant program that I can think of. I mean, some of the, we have a commitment also for about $34 million total for the potential sewer projects that we have potentially going to have in town. That's also made up of federal money coming in through DEC and DEP, as well as New York State EFC. So are those going to be impacted? I don't know. Hopefully not. And yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to continue applying for grants. Today I received from Senator Gillibrand They opened up the congressionally directed spending, or CDS, which is how we got the 1.8 million for Oak Ridge. We get to apply for that grant again. It's due March 31st, so we have to come up with a project. I sent the board today an email on that. And so hopefully that's federal money that's going to be available to us and that we can use for other needs of the town. So that's where we are. I think that's all I have.
We've got to have that in by the end of
March
March.
31st, yeah.
31st.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's an easy, based on my past experience with those, it's a fairly easy portal, straightforward, high level, nothing
Nothing's-
detail.
Nothing's
Yeah.
ever easy with the federal government.
The application part is, everything else is not. So, but that's where we are. So, announcements. So next week, we have a town board work session, March 3rd, 7:30 PM here at the townhouse. And then we have a regular town board meeting Monday, March 10th at 7:30 PM here at the townhouse as well. So now I will go ahead and motion that we go into executive session for a couple of contractual issues that we want to discuss, in attorney-client privilege information.
Okay.
Discussion?
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes, discussion, yes. As I mentioned to the board members, one of the items that for executive session is fine was dealing with contractual aspect of it, but there's another one where our consultants want to give a presentation, our engineering consultants, ASG, CJ, which is great. I think that would be a great opportunity for members of the public to hear from them. I would welcome any presentation they want to give to explain as far as the services that they provide to the community, and so people have a better understanding about that. I think it'd be a great opportunity for the public to hear for it. So I don't know of anything specific, and having spoken with council and spoken with the board members about that, it's necessarily warranted for an executive session.
Yeah, total agreement. I haven't come back for presentation to the board. So, so do I have a second motion to executive session? You did? All in favor? Yeah, Dan did. Okay, all in favor?
I mean, yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone here and everyone over Zoom. Thank you very much for attending.